Ontario's Progressive Conservative Party, headed by Doug Ford, recently put forward plans for an e-learning initiative. The Canadian province proposed sweeping ed reform in a plan called Education That Works for You. Love the title. The plan includes a measure that would require high schoolers to complete 4 credits online in order to graduate. The measure has been met with a mix of enthusiasm and criticism among education stakeholders throughout the province. Ontario is hardly the first North American region to require online learning, but it is the first to require this amount. 5 U.S. states currently require high schoolers to take just 1, not 4, online courses. My name is Henry Kronk for eLearningInside. This is EdTechnically, and this week we're going to go over some common expectations and concerns of this measure, examine some other examples, and explore what is at stake behind requiring online courses to obtain a degree. To begin, Ontario's leading party cites a fairly common reason for why they're requiring online learning at the high school level: innovation. As Education Minister Elisa Thompson told the Toronto Star, quote, "The reality of today is we need to be embracing technology for good. When it comes to online opportunities for our students, I think we should all agree we want to make sure that they have every opportunity to put their best foot forward," end quote. But while Ford and his party retain mixed support in Ontario, many education stakeholders have pushed back against the online learning mandate for a variety of reasons. The broader education reform also includes increasing class sizes, banning cell phones in school, and overhauling the provincial sex ed and math curricula. And a few of those measures have also drawn scrutiny. In a letter to Minister Thompson, Renfrew County District School Board Chair Susan Humphreys described 3 concerns specific to mandatory e-learning, amid other concerns with other measures. As Humphreys writes, quote, "In our district, we have communities that do not have cell service, nor is there reliable high-speed internet. Our schools are the only locations where students can be assured to find the service. For these reasons, requiring students to take 4 e-learning credits will pose challenges. In addition, there are areas that have an overrepresentation of poverty. This means that a significant number of students are financially unable to purchase devices, which will impact their ability to participate. As well, there are students for which e-learning is not suitable. This will potentially affect their achievement and future success," end quote. So Humphrey's 3 points. There's a digital divide in Ontario that will make e-learning difficult. Some students live in conditions of poverty and cannot purchase necessary devices to perform the coursework. And 3, there are some students for which e-learning is quote-unquote not suitable. These concerns are not unique to Ontario. Michigan, a state not very unlike Ontario in terms of population and urban-rural split, was the first U.S. state to require 1 online course to graduate from high school. Back in 2006, many Michiganians shared similar concerns, and some are still controversial today. To begin, the digital divide described by Humphreys in her first point is a very real issue that still affects communities throughout Michigan and Ontario. According to the Merit Network, a Michigan nonprofit dedicated to providing telecom services in the state, 27% of K-12 students lack high-speed internet in their homes. But it appears that this has not stopped them from complying with the online course requirement. Last year, Michigan Virtual, a nonprofit organization dedicated to monitoring online learning in the state, released a report describing where the e-learning mandate was at 12 years on. The report found that, quote, "course enrollment patterns were fairly consistent across locales," in other words, urban, suburban, town, and rural areas. For instance, mathematics represented between 16% and 18% of the virtual enrollments for all 4 locales. The range was also 2%, between 13% and 15%, for life and physical sciences, and 4% in English language and literature. Pass rates in virtual courses also varied across subject areas and locale. For instance, in English language and literature, pass rates fell between 48% for not specified schools to 56% for rural schools. In mathematics, pass rates ranged from 44% in towns to 51% in rural areas." End quote. In other words, the lack of high-speed internet at home has not stopped Michigan learners from studying online. In many cases, rural students actually fare better than their better-connected counterparts. It's a different story, however, when it comes to socioeconomic divides. Michigan Virtual found that students living in poverty were both more likely to take an online course and less likely to pass it. According to the report, quote, 54% of virtual learners were classified as living in poverty in the 2016 and 2017 school year, that is. Students living in poverty took 62% of the virtual enrollments for the year. The pass rate for students in poverty, 48%, was 18 percentage points lower than students who were not in poverty, of 66%. End quote. This phenomenon might be explained in part by the proliferation of virtual charter schools in Michigan, an effort spurred on by the DeVos family in part. Many less affluent school districts have intentionally or not pushed students into virtual classes or virtual charter schools. In June of 2018, Vice on HBO aired a segment on the subject, and Director of American Studies at Cornell University, Professor Noliwe Rooks, has also explored the topic in her book, Cutting School. Among Canadian provinces, only Alberta allows charter schools, but there are public online-only schools in Ontario. Regarding Humphrey's last point, it's true that many students, such as those with IEPs or those with temporary injuries, cannot learn online, and the ability to opt out for certain reasons is definitely a necessary feature. Alabama, another U.S. state that requires online learning, stated this explicitly in the law that mandated e-learning. The above demonstrates, at least in part, how other regions have fared with mandatory high school online learning, but Humphrey's concerns also do not tell the full story. A lot of work has yet to be done with investigating online learning at the high school level. But 2 things are fairly well established. 1, certain courses can work really well in specific contexts, and 2, in other contexts, students are more likely to fail or earn lower marks online versus in person. In many cases, results are mixed. To return to Michigan Virtual's report mentioned above, 27% of schools reported a virtual pass rate of 90 to 100%. Considering the U.S. national high school graduation rate was 84.6% in the 2016-2017 school year and 80.2% in Michigan, that's really incredible. There are also numerous examples of academic studies that show face-to-face students perform better than their online peers. Requiring high school students to take 4 online courses throughout their secondary education, therefore, marks a roll of the dice with unprecedented stakes. Certain students will undoubtedly thrive in the online modality while others will not. In terms of province-wide impact, however, the outcome is anyone's guess. This gamble, furthermore, is potentially taking place in a province where the 4-year high school graduation rate has just recently climbed to 79.6% in 2016. 12 years earlier, in 2004, it sat at 56%. This has been EdTechnically. My name is Henry Kronk, and I write for eLearningInside. If you liked this episode, please rate and review it. It really helps us out. If you want to hear more, please subscribe. Also, keep in mind that this show is available as a video on our YouTube channel and also as a podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and Google Play. The basic content for this video first appeared as an article on eLearningInside, and if you want to learn more about online courses, technology in the classroom, and EdTech in general, please check out our site. It's updated every day. If you'd like to get in touch with me, please send an email to henry@elearninginside.com. You can also follow us on Twitter @eLearningInside. Thanks for listening.